Can someone
Yeah,
send
this
it
is,
to him?
hey, John, it's Amy. I can, I know, I have it. I'll send it to him.
Did you send it to him directly, Amy?
Yeah, no problem. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Sorry to interrupt.
No. Anyone choose to share where we can be a support to you or what's going on in their head?
Yeah, John.
I'll go ahead.
Jack.
Well, I've had probably, after the football season, I've had a busier winter than normal. It's been just very, very busy for this time of year for me. It's usually a slower part of the year for me. Probably I have over half of my business in a typical year is between September and December. And January and February have been pretty busy up until 2 weeks ago. I've had 2 cancellations since then. Quite frankly, what I have on the books from now until the beginning of the football season, I would be surprised if any of them take place unless we have a big change in what's going on nationally. I think the hardest thing here is everything is out of our own control, really. I mean, we don't control anything, basically. I'm staying inside. And right now, I would not get on an airplane. I really wouldn't do it. I was in Sacramento 2 weeks ago, a little bit 2 over weeks ago, and I would not make that trip again at all. And, you know, basically is we're just kind of waiting for information, I think, from things that are outside of our control, and then try to do what's best, you know, based on what we find out, really. I think in the time I've been in the professional speaking business, I've never felt so out of control of my own business.
I would think a lot of people do, from every one, event industry, I mean, wedding industry, convention center, hotel. Marriott laid off 20,000 people yesterday.
I would say this too, John. I don't do this. I don't like to do it. That would be teleconferencing. I've never liked it. I've done a couple of them. They were not very good. I'm much better in front of an audience than I am teleconference. Now, some people that do a lot of teleconferencing, there's probably some opportunities for you there that you might not otherwise have. But that's not me, and that's not my audiences, and I'm not going to look into that at all.
So I do have one comment on that. An event planner friend who I've done, he actually worked for me for a while. Now he works for Big Cardinal Health Corporate. And Roxanne, you met him briefly yesterday on a call, but he says it's funny how all of the people we've ever hired as speakers in the past are suddenly webinar experts and all want to do webinars. Kind of an interesting comment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Well,
right.
raise a hand. Again, no, you don't have to share. Dave Caperton, I saw you. You can raise your hand digitally if you hit manage participants. I think that's what it's in for you. But that's what I see.
Okay.
And you can.
Well, you know, as somebody who, I guess you can hear me, right? But as someone who is mostly pretty much a pure keynoter, I mean, I'm at full stop. Everything's been canceled that I had on the books or postponed with no clear. So, you know, for the first couple of days, I didn't talk to anybody or anything because you know, you feel like you've been hit and you're stunned for a while. So, I mean, even reaching out to other folks that's been a process I had to kind of go through to get to that point. Yesterday, I had a long conversation with Kay Francis, and we were saying, you know, as folks who use a lot of humor, and it's much more a performance experience for the audiences that we work with, making that transition to virtual is something that I'm puzzled about. I don't really know the way forward with that. I don't know what the opportunities are. I don't know exactly how I would do it. So, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty. The only thing I can say is there's also here an opportunity. And I think whenever you have huge upheaval, we have a chance to do something new because all the conditions are new. You know, I mean, one of the things that I've heard all the marketing experts in our business say, figure out what the pain points are of the industry that you want to serve. What keeps them up at night? I know, because it's the same thing that's keeping us all up at night. You know, we're all, you know, worried about every single person we know, and we don't know what's happening, and we're filled with uncertainty. So, you know, in that, there's probably a greater need to be served. So I guess my first resolution is, look, I just want to find ways to put some value out there. I'll worry about figuring a way to monetize it again when things settle down. But right now, I just think the resolve is, how do I get some value out to the people I have served and people I want to serve?
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. And I think you're right. What more can we do? Just because I have several hands up. Bob's got a hand up. Casey, let's go with Casey. Actually, he's got a hand up down there.
Okay, hi. Yeah, so for several years, I've had a plan to try to do less plane travel. And so there's been a slow move to launching some new things. And it's been very slow because I haven't had time to work on it. So while the next 6-ish months of live events have essentially canceled and there's a lot of bad news in there for me with revenue, I am trying to look at the silver lining with time to finally work on a bunch of things I've been trying to work on and haven't ever had the time because I keep traveling and delivering. So an online course, which has been underway but not making much forward progress, is finally making forward progress, and some virtual delivery, which I've hesitated to do because I have a probably false and narcissistic view that it can't be delivered on virtually the same way it can be delivered live. I'm kind of getting sort of backed into a corner to deliver some stuff virtually and experiment with that. And I'm gonna do that here in a couple weeks. So I think I'm figuring out some things that I've either hesitated to figure out, procrastinated on figuring out, or wanted to figure out but haven't had the time. And it seems possible to me that although this feels cataclysmic right now, this might in the long run be one of the best things to happen to me, because I've young kids, and being on the road all the time is tough. And maybe I'll look back at this a year or two from now and say this was the thing that finally helped me transform my business to a much more remote delivery and passive income delivery model, which is something I've dreamed about but have struggled to transform. So it's hard to look at all the cancellations and all the lost revenue, but I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. And I think just from a mental health and well-being standpoint, it's always really important to find, to look at what you do have. And I think there are a lot of people in this world a lot worse positioned than I am to weather this. And so I'm grateful for health and the money that is in the bank. And that's just what I'm trying to do. And I'm happy to collaborate with anybody on this call to help us all get through it.
That's
Thanks for pulling it together, by the way.
Thank you. We all came together. It wasn't a me thing, but when you said collaborate with other people, I think one of the outcomes is if there's some groups that want to, we don't call them masterminds or do a breakout room, but just if they're like passive income, I've been talking about it for years. Wish I coulda, shoulda.
Yeah, right.
Let's where to go?
Football books are not selling real big right now, so this is not a real good time for passive income, I'll tell you.
We'll jump to Bob, then Andrea, then Brian.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Looks like.
I've been fortunate the last 3.5 years to be in the webinar business. And lastly, probably in the last several months in particular, my business has really exploded. And that's a good thing. I think there's a good opportunity in the webinar business. I've been having a lot of revenue coming in from the webinar business. But even within the webinar business, they're thinking about different ways of approaching the delivery of webinars. For example, some of the webinar companies are now allowing you to pre-record your presentation and just show up for the Q&A session for the last 20 to 30 minutes of each webinar. So I found that interesting. Today I learned that a webinar that I'm doing next week is going forward, so it is not being canceled. Probably my main concern is the economic impact this pandemic is going to have on everybody. My own experience has been, and I'm also a college professor too, is that training and development is usually the first thing that gets cut when there's an economic downturn. So that's something that I'm concerned about. I'm probably also a little concerned by the fact that unless a company is paying for something, people, if they're not working or not working up to capacity, aren't going to have the money to pay for a webinar too. But I think there's different delivery methods that are coming through. I'm also, besides being a college professor and a trainer, and I'm also a part-time minister. And for the first time on Sunday, I'm going to be doing a live stream service. So probably no more than a half a dozen people will probably be in the church that are helping out with that. From a psychological perspective, I think it's really important to stay connected. And I think that's one of the big issues that we're all going to be facing, especially if we encounter some type of lockdown or if they call it by some other name. So I think it's important to keep connected. Other organizations I belong to are doing similar things that this one is, but I think it's really important that we stay connected with one another until this passes. Thanks for your time.
No, thanks. That's the purpose of this. I think that's, I guess, why I wanted to do it. I needed that sense and that purpose and that feeling as well. So hopefully it's beneficial, honestly, just to talk like this for folks. Andrea, want to jump in? Unmute yourself, or I can for you, but hold on.
I'm saying hi to everyone and no one can hear. Hello, everyone. Yeah, this has been challenging. I am a person who, I've gone through cancer twice. And so I've been in situations where things have been out of my control and I only can do what I can do and make the best of it and just stay strong on my faith. So with Bob saying stay connected, it is definitely important for us to stay connected with each other who's going through this, but also staying connected to the source, whatever the source is for you. And yesterday I went to see Oprah back in January in Atlanta. And so I'm part of this text chain that she sends out periodically. And yesterday she sent out some words that I thought was really what I needed, because I've been staying in a place of gratitude. And 3 days ago, I had written that I woke up grateful for the opportunity to sleep without worrying about this. And then the next night I didn't sleep, so I was like, okay, I don't know what happened, but I thought I was good with this, but I can't help but to worry about the world, not just me specifically, because I trust that I'll be okay, but for everyone else too. It's like, this is really bad. But these are the words that I received yesterday that I'm really trying to hold on to. And it says, pay attention to the present moment. Don't get lost in worrying about things beyond your control. Remember, stress is wanting this moment to be something that it's not. Accept this time for what it is. In this moment, be well. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep myself well, because it's easy. I mean, I live alone, so I'm sitting here looking at my dog all day, and this is like painful because I need people. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity of having Zoom, because I can do virtual parties with people and at least stay connected that way. But I just think it's important during this time that we really stay grounded and centered and just try to focus on what we can do now. This is an opportunity. And I was thinking about this because I'll share this. I just gave my book away, my ebook, for free for the next 3 days. It's called God Never Wastes a Hurt. And I wrote this after going through my cancer experience. But really it's 3 steps to move from pain to purpose. Like with everything that we go through, it's a reason. I don't know what this is. I'm still trying to figure it out for me and for the world as a whole. But I do think that this is a time where we can offer up compassion to one another, to be there. I think that's the good that's going to come from this. But I do think it's a time for us to do reflection within ourselves and figure out how we can be better as human beings, how we can be kind to one another, how we can be purposeful with our living and intentional with our doing. So that's what I just want to share with you all today, because I think it's important that we don't lose sight of who we are, because we're powerful beyond measure. We know that this is going to pass. It's going to be ugly. I'm in real estate. That has shut down totally. So I'm not even doing anything with that. But I do know that it's going to be okay. It's going to be some pain for sure, but it'll be okay. That's it. Thank you.
No, thanks for sharing. I've got yeah. Thanks for laughing, Dave. She put her hoodie on her head and snuck in to get to the printer and out the door. I loved, actually, you should, if you could, I don't know if that's something you can copy and paste into the chat thing. I love about being in the moment. That was just neat to see. Love to see that, Andrea.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
just you can pop it if you're willing. If not, and just as a note, I hit record on this. I kind of see this as this is not a public meeting, but if someone's interested in this recording, I think it's actually going to my personal hard drive because I heard Zoom is so backed up right now. But if someone's interested in just let me know. I'll post a link and I can share it with the chapter, whoever, Peter, Greg, Roxanne. Well, looks like we're going to Brian and then Amy. Oh, Rosemary. Sorry, Brian to Rosemary to Amy.
Yeah. So for me, Thursday was a punch in the gut. Friday was a punch in the gut. And then, Connie, she ended up, being laid off. And, there's just been, now the kids, my oldest is graduating with his master's from architecture from Cincinnati. He's been delayed. So all of his senior stuff that he's worked for over the last 7 years is just nothing. It's nothing you can do. Same thing with Jess. She's a senior at BG. All her stuff is delayed. So I worry about them. I worry about Colin. He's in the next room over. He can probably hear me talking. He's a sophomore at OSU. I worry about them and their mental health. I've been through some stuff in the past, and I've made it. I'm sure I'll make it through this. I've been fortunate enough to have an additional stream of income from the Ohio School for the Blind, which I don't know how I have anything in common with those people, but that's supposed to be funny.
Everybody's on mute. You can't hear them when they're
on mute. But no, there's a stream of additional stream of revenue from there, and I really wasn't sure over the last 3 or 4 days if that was still going to happen. But I just found out this morning that they are going to still pay me. And obviously, I've got to do some work for that, but I feel very, very encouraged by having them stick with me. And from a speaking perspective, I've been very fortunate. I didn't have a lot on the books, so I didn't have a lot to cancel. But the one that was on the books for April, they came back to me just on Friday, and they said, we still want to have the conference. We still want to do it virtually, so we just need you to do a recording of your speech. I'm like, okay, so I got to figure out a way of getting it recorded. But and I've got some good contacts and people that have been able to help me with getting the recording. They're gonna schedule it here in the next couple weeks, but they're gonna pay. They're paying the full rate that they agreed to. So I feel very, very good about that. So I think everything is it's gonna take a while, but things are gonna work out.
That's awesome. One, and not knowing all the different aspects of someone's life is why I think it's important that we're here. Number two, you're right. If you have a significant other, spouse, whatever, that has an income and insurance, which at the moment I do as well, that's a tremendous saving grace right now. But Brian, whatever we can do to help you, your family, I think, we're here to help. Honestly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How about Rosemary? You want to jump in and say hello? I'm trying to unmute her. Here we go.
Okay. Are we unmuted now?
Now you go.
Well, lots of postponements, including our trip to Italy. Mark and I were going to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary in June. So that's postponed. I've got 4 presentations in May that are postponed, and more probably will be coming. On the bright side, tomorrow I'm having a conversation with the Expedia Group, one of the largest hospitality industries. They want me to be a consultant for them so that their vacation rental owners will know how to make their properties more accessible for people with disabilities. So I've got to focus my attention away from speaking and more into consulting. That industry could still use me as a consultant and is not as affected as other industries right now. People are still renting vacation properties. Not as much, but a little, and the education and consulting can go a long way. I've been sending out inspirational articles as a motivational speaker. I thought they needed to read them. So I've been sending them out to the people who are postponing and to other clients that I've spoken to in the past saying, I just think your employees, your team needs to read these articles. And I'm allowing them to share them to help them feel uplifted. I'm offering to be flexible for programs that are postponed to do some virtual programming. I'm working constantly in the home. The things that I do to keep busy is writing articles for the future. I'm writing articles for meeting professionals on how they can accommodate people with disabilities at meetings and events. I'm also working on redoing my copy on my promotional emails and my website. So it's time to refresh the marketing message that's going to come out maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months. And I'm working with Mark right now on new copy and new design on our website. Dave Caperton, my advice to you is people need to laugh. I think you have a collection of videos. It's time to start sending those out to people, to anyone that was on your radar in the future, as well as those previous clients. Let's share your laughter so that they'll think of you first. Offer to do whatever is needed to share those so that they know they're out there and get them to laugh and have joy. Clean out your office, clean out your basement. Mark and I spent all day Saturday and Sunday in our basement cleaning out our book inventory. I have 2 boxes so far marked NSA Ohio Friends. The next time we're together, you will be the recipients of my inventory and Mark's inventory on anything dealing with public speaking, training, marketing, building your business. We have quite an inventory that no longer is needed in our basement. We are reorganizing our offices, our computer files, and I've got to learn Zoom so that I'm more efficient with it. The other advice, don't watch the news so much. It's too depressing. Just stay away and watch some funny things, watch some movies, let it take you to another place so you're not constantly focused on the crisis at hand. That's my advice.
I love that. Keeping away from some of the negativity. It's hard, but important. And just curious. I mean, I've had nothing technically canceled for May yet. While I'm expecting it, nothing has. Does anyone else have stuff that's still holding in May? Amy does. Roxanne does. All right. I have stuff in nothing. Okay. I'm anticipating, regretting that they go away, but I still have a couple things holding out. I know. All right, Amy.
John, my cycle buddy, my cycle bar buddy.
I know. Not anymore.
I know. I'll meet you back at the cycle bar when it opens back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I have one event in May that is still like hanging on. We'll see. I'm expecting it to cancel, but we'll see what happens. My plan with that one is to stay in front of it and to talk with them about, hey, if you're potentially looking to cancel this, let's see some other ways that we might be able to deliver it. Can we live stream it? Can we do Zoom? Do we just pick another date? So it's not completely gone off the books, but just being understanding of what's happening with people. But I've had a couple of other things in May that are just kind of wiped off the books, just kind of just advance, just being smart and looking for other dates. Yeah, you talk about like people being really affected. My sister is a hairstylist. She owns a hair salon and has had to close her business until, further notice. So, all the stuff we talk about, washing hands and social distancing, for a lot of people, a lot of us, it's real hardship now. It's not just, the social distancing and washing hands. So it's, a lot of people are being affected. I have older parents who still think it's okay to go to the UPS store and to, go to church until they were told by the bishop that they can't, finally. So, just, and they don't live nearby. So just kind of trying to keep tabs on them. But some of the things that I'm trying to do is, Rosemary, I love your idea on the consulting. If there are ways to turn things that we're doing into consulting, I love that idea. I'm revamping my LinkedIn profile a little bit. while I have some time, kind of have a list of things here. Similar to what some of other of you have said, I have an online platform that's in process of being built. I had started it, and now I have an opportunity to accelerate that a little bit. So I'm going to work on that. I did a good old pipeline review. I went through, I'm someone that, like, as painful as it is, I just want to see what the deal is. So I went through everything, and I have a list here. What are the things that are just going to be canceled and need to be rescheduled? What are the opportunities or the clients where I might be able to offer some other suggestions or ways to work together? Kind of my sense of control over the situation is just clearing out my pipeline and revisiting everything there. I've been working with my speaker agent too. We're just putting together a couple of short pieces, webinars, articles for meeting planners and event planners, just to help give them some ideas for kind of working through this time. So I think those are kind of the big things that I've been working on and kind of thinking about.
I think it's good. That consulting thing is going to be key for a lot of us, finding those opportunities. All right. I know, Ray, you're down there. I see you now again, Ray. Unmute yourself and come on in. Love to hear what you've got to share. How we can, you know, I didn't ask everybody. I just should have asked how we can each help you. That was an error on my part. So,
I had a keynote for the Ohio Health Information Management, which happened this past week, and they made it to be virtual. So what I did is they were really struggling because, you know, these associations, they had a lot of expense that they aren't getting back. And so they, you know, were asking us that if we would do a recording so that they could show the recording to their folks. And that's what I did. And then they also asked us to to allow them to sell that recording within their association. So I allowed them to resell it at a later time for people that didn't join the conference, so they can recover some of their money, you know, by going out to other members and trying to sell the recording. So, you know, that's one way where maybe, you know, there's a little bit of negotiating that can go on. And so I was fortunate to have that. The only other big event that I had canceled so far was out in May, it was in May or early May. And that was with Harvard University. I was looking forward to that. It's the MBA students. We were going to do some training. And so that's been canceled because they've shut the campus down. I'm fortunate, however, you know, I still have my full-time job. So I have been ready to step out, and I am thankful I didn't yet at this point, obviously. But I manage a lot of people, and you know, we're all working from home, and communication, like everybody's been talking about, is really important. And I've realized that I need to communicate even more with my folks when they're from home. And a lot of people go the opposite way. It's like, you know, you don't see anybody all day, you don't talk to them, so you don't even check in on them. I'm trying to check in with all my staff in a day. I can't always do that, but I try to do that. And I try to have some video conferences with them too, so we can see each other and stuff. So, you know, that's important. And so, you know, I think, you know, we've all been talking about communication. I want to reach out to some of the associations that I've worked with before, just asking them how I can help them and stuff, offering that I can do keynotes, you know, online if they want to record it or whatever. And also there's the organization where I do some training, design thinking training, that a company that I do it for. I would let them know I can do that training online if you know, have that option. So it's again, just keeping the communication going.
I'm writing some things down on that. Roxanne coming in. Rayla, what can this group do to help you?
I feel very fortunate. Like I said, I'm just you know, listening to what you guys are doing here, because I'm getting some really good suggestions. But I would like to help other people in any way I can right now, because, you know, like I said, I still, you know, have my job, so my full-time job. So that's fortunate for me. So I'm not asking for anything other than, you know, if you need help or I can help you in some way, I'd be very happy to do that.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yep.
All right, Roxanne, we'll hand that over to you.
First of all, thank you, John, and thank you, everyone, for all of your brilliant suggestions and sharing and reflections on what's going on these days. This morning, I had an opportunity. I only got to see half of this particular video thing that was out there that had been taped, And it's by a company that I've used for a number of years that train and manage virtual assistants, and my virtual assistant is with them. So the founders of the company were sharing some thoughts. Now, a lot of us in our businesses, we know how to work from home. We also know how to travel really well. We know all of those things. But I really loved hearing a few of these things. And again, I'm sorry I don't have them all, but I'll be glad to share them all when I watch the rest of the video. The first one was that in times like this, when the world shifts on its axis and we're in a different environment, a lot of us are at home now, and we're not usually home. So what does that mean? The first suggestion they said was to understand your biological prime time. Now, I've never really heard it phrased like that, but I know what mine is, and it's between 5 a.m. and 2 p.m. It's the time of day in a 24-hour cycle where I can just rock it. My brain is great. I'm focused. I can be hyper-focused. I have energy and all of that, and I've been this way since I was a kid. Some people are night people. They get their energy then, and they ramp it up, and they can write books in a week at night. So what they said was understand and really consciously embrace your biological prime time and block out 3 hours in that prime time every day to focus on the things that are most important for you to accomplish in that day so that you can then go to the next day with a great feeling, right? You can go into your evening, you can go into that next period of time knowing that you accomplished it. And what they said was in that 3-hour period, make sure that it is absolutely distraction free. There's no news, there's no email, there's no texting, there's no telephone, nothing. You have your list, you have your 3 hours of focused time, and you just put your head down, go hyper focus and go in the zone. That kind of productivity is amazing what that does for you psychologically and emotionally. And then you build in, they said the second was create boundaries. I'm very fortunate where we live. My husband has an office downstairs and mine is upstairs. So we're kind of separated from each other, but I've even built those boundaries out a little bit more. And so is he. We're closing doors, we have signs on the door so that the time that we need to really focus without distraction is here for us. And then we build in buffers. So you have to get out of this for a little while and then switch your mindset, take a deep breath, go for a quick walk, do some laundry. I made energy bars yesterday afternoon from scratch, and it was fabulous. It was just fun. And then I came back and I was more productive after that. So these were just 3 of the 6 items that they wanted to offer. And again, I don't have the other 3. We all know this, but it was just great to hear somebody else kind of saying, hey, take it easy on yourself, right? Understand your really high energy times and capture that. So the preamble to what they were saying in my mind is that we understand and we are working very carefully toward, okay, I've been really busy for a lot of years. What have I not been doing? What have I not been accomplishing? And thank you, Rosemary, and thank you, Amy, because you're right. Let's start going through and saying, wow, here are some projects that have been on a back burner. Those things that would create passive income, right? They just haven't gotten to. Now's the time. Start making your strategies around that, building your strategies and your plans, dreaming of what this is going to look like when this runs its cycle. What's your vision for how this reinvents you and your life and your career and where you're going to take it? And then I'll save just a little bit more. I don't want to take up any more time right now. But when we come to the end of our time together, I'd like to share just one more thought on how to spend our time right now that I am finding to be absolutely incredible, a little bit life-changing in some ways. Thanks for the time right now.
Oh, you got it. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. I don't do my hyper-productive time well enough. David, answer the phone call. That's you, man.
That's just my wife. I told her I'm on a call, and she's called twice since I've been on the call. So let's talk about distractions and things. And it's really been crazy around the house since we got back. We're having our floors all redone. So I got all the furniture in my entire house crammed into 2 rooms, one of which is my office. And so the guys here laying hardwood, and they're going to strip it and do all of that. That forced my wife and me and my wife and I are in our kind of a den. We've got we call it the Florida room, but so the 2 adults, the 5 dogs are spending all of our time in this room, and trying to work from this room in this environment is a bit of a challenge. I do have a lot of things that I'm working on. I just started trying to figure out this whole speaking as a business thing. So I've been relying on the consulting to kind of carry me through as I built this pipeline and the whole marketing structure and the CRM, and start reaching out to folks and start really pounding the pavement. But then I've reached out to my consulting clients, and virtually every one of them, all of their facilities are shutting down as well. No visitors are allowed, and so they're all postponed as well. So I got a feeling I'm going to be digging into some savings pretty hard, and I'm a little concerned about that, but I am excited about the time that I have to create the things that I've said I've wanted to create. When I was at Influence last summer, it was again, I told some of you that was my first exposure to the speaking world. So I invested in Kajabi then, with this in mind, to have a series of these online classes put together. But I've been working, so I haven't been doing that. So now I'm not working. I'll be able to do those kinds of programs that I've wanted to do, that I intended to do. And I've got 30 years of teaching content that I'm trying to make accessible, and hopefully I can turn that into a little bit of a revenue stream. But the first couple of things I do, I'm planning to give away. So everybody's going to need a little bit of something, and if I can contribute a tiny bit, that's great. I also had an event planned for this past Monday. I was going to get together with just a very small group of folks, do a quick little kind of TED talk about some leadership and confidence kind of things for 10 minutes or so. Then we were going to do a lean coffee discussion. And I got a bunch of folks that were interested in that. And somebody asked if we could still do something like that virtually. And so I might do a couple of those. And if it gets bad enough, maybe at the end of each one of those, we'll have a virtual plate passing and maybe take a love offering or something. So I think this is going to force us to be creative, I think. So that's all I've got right now. Thank you.
Anything we can do, this group, to help you?
Not that I can think of. I mean, the call, I think I would like to stay connected with you guys and keep doing this. If nothing more than to build a relationship further with you all, because I really haven't met most of you, and I'm looking forward to the work we've done so far and the work we're going to do.
All right. Hey, David, thanks for sharing. And Caperton, then we're at about 14 minutes off the top of the hour, just FYI. If someone wants to raise your hand, jump in, then we can kind of wrap and just make sure we all get some value and continued purpose from this.
Dave, unmute. There we go.
Oh, okay, got it. All right. Yeah, I mean, in the question of how can we help each other, I think for me, not being someone who is versed in all the things like virtual program webinars, I don't know a lot of the basics. So if anybody is a resource for even the different platform approaches and how you get started, ways that you just just the nuts and bolts of how do you do it. I'm not I'm not real familiar with it. So if anybody you can be a consultant on that, that'd be great.
Do we have a webinar expert? It's not me, that's for sure, or something on that.
You have the coolest mic, though.
Coolest mic. Jack, stop touching your face. That's a bad habit.
Yeah, it's sort of me. I'm the one that does the webinars. Been doing them for 3.5 years.
That's right, Bob.
So anybody needs anything, feel free to shoot me an email or get my contact information. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
That'd be good.
And another thing, I just received an email from Zoom webinar that they're actually doing this afternoon, which is about how to work from home during these times and the best practices, I guess, from working from home for those who have Zoom. So, but even if you don't have Zoom, you know, it's one of the things that we can get a discount on. And so it definitely can be beneficial. So that as well.
Yeah, if I could jump in on that, Andrea, you're absolutely right. Zoom is amazing. I'm so glad. I've had it for a little over a year, so I've had a lot of practice with it, and it is pretty much saved the day for me. I've been able to convert just about everything that I'm doing to Zoom. It's a little bit different in terms of the business model, but still, it's been a game changer for me. And if they have webinars and tutorial stuff going on around webinars, go to their site and look for it. That's a great place to learn. I'll be doing more of those myself.
All right, I'm going to throw it to Casey, if that's all right. She's got her hand back up. And then we'll probably, if anyone does want to share anything or ask for some support, we'll go to that next. And I know, Roxanne, you kind of wanted to wrap us up.
This is a suggestion, and it came to me from Elena Shearer, who founded Together Digital, which started here in Columbus, but is a national organization of digital experts, digital marketing experts, and so forth. And she and I had a conversation yesterday, and I was telling her about getting ready to roll out my my online course in maybe about a month or so, and all the things I'm doing to try to kind of prepare myself to be more virtual and have more of an online and virtual presence. And she recommended, and I thought this was a great idea and something I've been pretty poor at, to be frank, really ramping up my presence on build more of an online and digital and LinkedIn following, so that when I have something, when I have more to sell, that I have given away and posted and put content out there so that I've got folks that are interested and ready to buy it. She was talking about the algorithms for LinkedIn and how video is a lot more, gets a, I don't know very much about this, but apparently in LinkedIn's algorithm, video is higher up than posts or shares. So she recommended posting short videos and just being really kind of transparent and vulnerable. Hey, here's what's going on in my business. Here's what I'm doing about it. Here, you know, what are you doing? And starting to talk now, be prepared now, because in a month from now, when I've got something to sell, there's that much more, there's that many more people that are listening and watching. And I think that's really fair. The other thing that I thought was a great suggestion is everybody's at home, everybody's, you know, locked in, and we all know a lot of people. We're all speakers. We all have a lot of connections. So start having Zoom meetings with other experts that you know, interview someone on Zoom and record it. And now you've got some content, and you can use 2 or 3 minute clips of that interview of some expert that you know on some topic, and post that on LinkedIn. Digital and you know, digital assets that of content and expertise. It doesn't have to be all our own expertise. Everyone on this call is an expert on something, so we can interview each other. We can reach out to other people we know from the speaking world and from the business world, and start to do more digital versions of what you know, we don't do now, but we could switch to and start posting that. So I thought those were some good ideas. And then when you post them on LinkedIn, make sure to tag other people and you know, get this sort of sharing engine going. Become more of a social media expert on LinkedIn.
Cool. Thanks, Casey. Hey, Canarucci, I saw you waving your hand. I don't know if that was waving at me or if something else.
Well, yeah, I'm always waving at you as you go by, John. You know that. No, I just wanted to leverage off of what Casey just said as an example. My expertise is leading large organizational change, you know, nuts and bolts, boring, ugly stuff. And one of our fellow members, Brian Ahern, speaks on persuasion. And so I heard him on a podcast talking about persuasion for people who lead change. And I said, Brian, that's an 8-episode video series that you and I could do together, that both of us would share the heck out of to our different audiences. And so we're working on that. I happen to have a video studio that I put together for, because I do so much video. So we're going to get in the studio and do that. And those are collaborations that You might not think about putting the peanut butter together with the chocolate, but it might be a good idea to start thinking about that. And I said, Brian, I could do the whole video series all by myself. I don't want to bother you from a time standpoint. And of course, his answer was, I have plenty of time, right? So we all do right now. So just wanted to throw that out there as a good example of what Casey's talking about.
Just a quick fast follow on that is don't wait until you've got your content perfect and your video studio perfect and you're really polished. Like right now, everybody is in front of their computers. They're constantly on Facebook. They're constantly on LinkedIn. Everybody's hungry and scared. And I think we have an opportunity to sort of strike while the iron's hot, not in a manipulative way or in a take advantage way, but put content out there that's useful and helpful, and build relationships and gain heart share, so that when market share is available, we can be the ones that are the logical go-to experts.
Well said. All right, Roxanne, you want to bring us around, wrap us up?
Thanks, John. I think everybody has touched on this in their own way, but I wanted to share something that I'm experiencing right now. When all of this kind of hit home this week, I started reaching back into my clients. Who have I worked with over the years? Who has been in the audience when I've been speaking? And we all have lists of these things, or somehow we've captured this information. This right now, I think, is one of the most important impacts we can make in the world today, is to reach out to these folks that we know, that some of them we don't know or don't remember because they were in an audience, but they remember us, and we have an opportunity to give ourselves away. To reach out and say, hey, thinking about you, we've had some great times in the past, it's a new world today. How can I help you? What do you need? This is not about new business. This is not about doing anything but helping other people. So I've been sending out notes, and I had a conversation with Peter Margaritis, and unfortunately he hasn't been able to get into this call today, but he's been doing a similar thing, and he kind of morphed an email that he received from Sam Richter from the Houston Winter Conference about reaching out to people and giving ourselves away. We all have specific areas of expertise in which we are brilliant. Rosemary, you pointed, yeah, Dave Caperton, go make people laugh. Jim Canarucci, go show people how to make their organizations and their businesses more aligned, more efficient, more impactful. Brian, you have a gift of vision that nobody else quite has, and the list goes on and on. We all have a special skill. We all have a special talent. We all have a special God-given gift that we can give away to others. I've sent these little brief lines, these little brief notes, left brief little messages from my clients and colleagues all around the place, reaching back into people I haven't seen or spoken to in 20 years, and said, oh my gosh, the world has given us a gracious pause, and you came to mind. I don't know where you are right now or what you're doing, but if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know, and we'll be there. This, to me, is an opportunity for all of us. And everybody has said that in this call this morning. We've all said it in our own ways, that this is a connecting point where we can all gather together and support each other. I keep hearing this line over and over again. We're in this together. You bet we are. So that's really it. It's really pretty simple. I reached out to one of my companies yesterday, and I said, hey guys, how you doing? What do you need? Do you want me to, you got a lot of people working from home. Do they know how to do that? I can put a Zoom call together with limitless people, get the folks together, put them on a call, spend 30 minutes with them, helping them understand how it is that they can instantly set up their home workspace and do it productively. They're all over it. They're like, really? You would do that? That's not in your fee, and I don't want it to be. No, let's just do that, right? Gosh, it brings such joy and emotional connection and intellectual connection with our other humans. So I'll leave you with that. I just want to thank John again for bringing us together in this forum. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis. We're going to be doing these town halls once a week. So stay tuned to the messages coming in, and we'll let you know when they're happening. Thank you.
Hey, well, thanks. And I'll bring us together again. Purpose was truly just to get a chance to share and see everybody. What I said at the very beginning, this is when an association is so important in good times and in challenging times. So thanks for sharing ideas, sharing your face and your hearts. Really, I guess I'll send everyone out. My thing that I've been saying to people is, I wish you hope, I wish you happiness, and I wish you good health. All right. If I can be of support to anybody, my Skype is at John Pets. My emails, you guys. Hopefully, I'm out there, but I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So please look me up if I can be a support to you. Would love to be a hand. All right.
Thank
Thanks
you all
everybody for sharing your time. Appreciate, care about y'all.